Hello students, welcome to Infinity IAS. Today we will start with the fourth lecture in Science and Technology series by Infinity IAS Academy. In the last lecture, we have started with IT and engineering related topics. Today, in the same topic, we will start with drone technology. This is recently being seen in news in multiple areas. So we will start with understanding what is a drone. A drone is basically an unmanned aerial vehicle. A drone is a layman term for this technical term, unmanned aerial vehicle. So what does this mean? So basically, drones are aerial vehicles that will not be operated by human beings inside them. So they are unmanned. Whereas if we see aerial vehicles like an aeroplane, it has human beings inside, sitting inside that, operating it. So they are manned aerial vehicles, whereas drones are unmanned aerial vehicles. So there are draft rules for drone regulation recently released by the government of India. So according to these rules, drones have been divided into certain categories based on their weight. We can also categorize drones based on the level of automation it has. We have different types of drones, such as drones that are operated by remote control on the ground, or even drones that are so automated that they do their work on their own. That is, they will have sensors and they will not be operated by human beings on the ground. So drones can be categorized based on their weights or even based on the level of automation they have. But we will look into this classification because this is what is given in the draft rules for drone regulations released by Government of India. So drones are categorized as nano, micro, small, medium and large. So here we need to remember the nano category and micro category for prelims examination. Nano category is less than or equal to 250 grams. Micro is 250 grams to 2 kg. Why should we remember these two categories? Because these two are smaller drones and they have lesser restrictions in the draft rules. We will look into the draft rules for regulation at a later point. So now, and the large one we have to remember is greater than 150 kg. So this is the classification of drones according to the government rules. So we will look at some of the important points that have been given in the drone regulations released by the Government of India. Starting with, every drone will be given a unique identification number. So there are many uses as well as challenges that drones bring in. We will look into the uses and challenges at a later point, but initially we need to understand that because of the challenges and the uses, we need to regulate these drones. So every drone in India will be given a unique identification number. How will this be given? So every drone and its operator has to register on the Digital Sky platform. So Digital Sky platform is a digital platform and acts as a single window operator. So here on the Digital Sky platform, any person, there are certain rules such as people above 18 years can only operate drones, or they should have a certain minimum qualification to operate certain classes of drones. So upon qualifying for those qualifications, they can register on the Digital Sky platform, which is a single window operator, and get a unique identification number. So government is trying to regulate, at the same time encourage the use of drones. Next, there is division of country into zones. So we know that drones have many challenges associated with it. For example, we have seen that there was a drone attack in Jammu and Kashmir recently. So drones can also be used for attacks or disturbing the law and order. So to prevent that, the country has been divided into 3 zones, that is green, yellow and red. So for prelims examination, we need to know that there are 3 types of zones and the restrictions are very high in red zone, whereas the restrictions are very low in the green zone. For example, in the green zone, people who are operating drones, particularly the nano drones and micro drones, nano and micro as we have seen, the smaller ones need not get prior permissions or registrations. Whereas yellow zones and red zones, yellow zones they have to get prior permission, whereas red zones they are not allowed to operate. So how are these yellow zone, red zone being classified? So for example, areas surrounding airports, these will be classified as red zones, or areas surrounding any critical infrastructure such as a nuclear power plant will be categorized as red zone. So depending on the sensitivity of the area, it is divided into green, yellow or red. So this will help in regulating the traffic in drones. Next is drone operations for research and development purposes. So this is also an important point in the drone regulations, which is the government of India has removed the requirement for registration when it comes to drone operations for research and development. What does this mean? So basically, if a company is trying to develop a new type of drone, it need not have permission or registration to fly it. That is, if it is developing a new drone and it wants to take a test flight, it need not go and register every time it want to test a new technology. So this waiver of registration or permission for research and development will help in Atmanirbhar Bharat scheme as well. So this draft regulations is important particularly for prelims examination. They might ask simple questions like the digital sky platform is in relation with which topic. The options can be drones, civil aviation or even defense startups, etc. So digital sky platform is a keyword that we need to remember. There is another keyword in the drone regulations, that is no permission, no takeoff. So this also can be asked. No permission, no takeoff recently in news is related with. It is related to drone regulations. That is, without permissions, the drone cannot take off. So this is one of the regulation under these rules. And one more important point for prelims examination is that which ministry has released these rules? It is Ministry of Civil Aviation. So this is also an important point for prelims examination. So we will see what are the applications of drone technology. So we have seen how important or why how the government is trying to regulate drone technology in India. But we need to know why. Because there are large number of areas where drone technology can be applied. Starting from defense. We have already seen that there was an attack in Jammu and Kashmir using drones. So such drone attacks can also be carried out by the Indian military. So that is one area, that is combat roles. Then second thing, for monitoring and surveillance, especially in border areas where the terrain is very difficult. So drones can be used there also. And then there is another area, that is non-combat role. For example, in areas where there is tough terrain, drones can be used for supply of food or any ammunition to the army. So in defense, it can be used in combat roles, monitoring and surveillance, as well as non-combat roles as well. So when it comes to agriculture, drone technology is already being used, particularly in insurance. We have seen that Government of India has made it mandatory for drones to be used for granting insurance. Drones can also be used to monitor soil health or the health of the crops as well. Next thing is healthcare. This is also taking off. Recently, we have seen that Telangana government has approved supply of medicines via drones. Even in COVID, we have seen that drones were used to carry vaccines. Then comes monitoring and mapping. This is also an important point because recently a scheme by the government of India, Swamitva scheme, wherein government is planning to give property cards to all the people in villages. How can this be done? For this, the Swamitva scheme to take off, we need to map the village and the properties in the village, for example, farms. So this can easily be done by drone technology. So even in Swamitva scheme, drones are being used for monitoring and mapping of areas. And then comes one of the most important place, that is law and order management or even disaster management. Drones can be used to monitor places where there are crowds. For example, there is a festival going on. Police can use drones to monitor the crowd movement. If there is any stampede or if there might be chances of stampede, drones can be used to monitor such places, crowded places. Even in disaster management, drones can be used to monitor forest areas for forest fires and early measures can be taken. With all these applications, there are also certain challenges with drone technology. That is, risk of use for attacks. This we have already seen in the J&K attack where a drone was used. So, drones can be used by non-state actors as well. That is terrorists or extremists. Here, non-state actors. Drones can also be used to carry weapons of mass destruction. It can even be used by state actors or non-state actors. Then comes drones are cheaper. As we have seen, the smaller drones which weigh only 250 grams or even 2 kgs or 1 kg are very cheap and are very freely available in the market. So such things can be procured by people to carry out attacks. For example, lone wolf attacks. So these are the challenges that are there with drones, and mostly all of them are related to defense. So these are the challenges. That is the reason why Government of India has come up with the draft rules to tackle these challenges. Next, we will go on to the topic of Internet of Things. So Internet of Things is also recently seen in news and is one of the emerging technology. We will first understand what is Internet of Things. So Internet of Things is an integrated system in which devices are connected in a network of information in such a way that they can communicate with each other without any human intervention. So here the important points are: Internet of Things is an integrated system in which devices are connected in a network. So Internet of Things, there will be different devices that will be connected, interconnected, are connected in a network. So they will be connected in such a way that they can communicate with each other. So when they are connected, they can communicate with each other. And the most important thing is without any human intervention. So what we need to understand is they should be able to communicate with each other without any human interaction. There can be human interaction, that is, humans can be able to modify or give orders to these devices, but even without human interaction, they should be able to communicate with each other. So we will see how this Internet of Things actually works. So Internet of Things, how does it work? So the most important component of Internet of Things is that if they are able to communicate with each other, they need to have a communication network, that is a connection, internet connection. Next comes, if they have to collect data, they have to collect data from somewhere and then they have to give it to the other device on the same network. So they should have sensors. So we will take an example of how Internet of Things work. So for example, there is a smart home. Now we are recently seeing in news about smart homes. That is, you do not have to switch on your AC or switch off your lights when you're leaving a room or entering a room. That is because there are sensors in the walls or doors which will sense whether you're leaving or entering, and they will do it accordingly. So here there will be sensor in the door, smart locks, which we have heard in the news, smart locks. So once you open the lock, the sensor in the lock will sense that someone is entering the room. So this smart lock will have the sensor. It will collect the data that someone has opened the door. Then it will send that data to a gateway. This is the middleman in the Internet of Things. It will send it to the gateway. Sometimes the information that the door is opened might be sent to a cloud, or even it can be processed locally also. So this cloud part is optional. Cloud means a server somewhere far away from the home. So once you have opened the lock, the sensor will sense that the lock is opened. Then the data will be stored in the smart lock as well, and then it will be stored, it will be sent to the gateway, that is the router. We have devices like Google Home or Google Nest. So such things are gateways. They will either send it to the cloud directly, where it will be processed. The processing will be like someone has opened the door. So what should be done? We will already, the people using the smart lock would have already given instructions such as, if someone opens the lock, the AC should be on. So this cloud here, it will process that. Once the lock is opened, the data that the lock is open, then it will send the instruction to the appliance or device that the AC should on. So this way, there is no human interaction in this Internet of Things. The sensor in the smart lock will have the data, then it will communicate with the gateway or the router. It will send it to the cloud, and from there the instruction will go to the AC that it should be on. So this is a simple example where Internet of Things work. So now that we have understood how this Internet of Things work, we will see various applications where this can work. The applications where Internet of Things is used are healthcare. So healthcare, where can we use Internet of Things? For example, we all have smart watches. We know that smart watches can have heart rate, or even your SpO2 can be measured in your smartwatch. So there are other healthcare devices such as wearable medical devices, which can be given to the patient itself, and depending on the parameters that the wearable medical devices are measuring, your treatment can be updated, or that your patient record can be stored. So Internet of Things is particularly useful in healthcare. In fact, it is so useful that there is another concept called Internet of medical technology. So it is widely used in healthcare. Next comes smart homes. We have already discussed an example where a smart home is how a smart home can have Internet of Things. For example, your AC can be on, your lights can off. So having these smart homes will increase the energy efficiency. For example, a person might forget to switch off the light or AC when he leaves the room. But if he has Internet of Things installed, so automatically when there is no one in the room or a person leaves the room, the AC will be switched off or the fan will be switched off. In that way, there will be energy conservation and energy efficiency as well. Next comes automotives. So we have seen that there is increasing prevalence of self-driving cars. So this automation can also be used, use Internet of Things. For example, you can start from your office. You can start from your office coming down. There will be a sensor in your watch or your phone that will say that the person has started from the office. And by the time you come down to the parking, your car would have already come to the gate. So that is one example of Internet of Things. Next is agriculture. Internet of Things can also be used in agriculture. For example, we can put sensors in the soil that will sense the level of water or hydration levels, and it will be connected to a smart irrigator, smart sprinkler. So in this case, if the soil gets dried up, the sensor in the soil will detect that the level of water is decreasing, and so it will send the signal to smart sprinkler, and then it will start irrigating. This is also helpful in conserving water conservation and even energy conservation. So this is one example where it can be used. Next important area where Internet of Things can be used is defense and military purpose, particularly in border management. So we can have sensors in the border that will go off when there is any movement across the border. This will reduce our dependence on having human beings or military personnel at the border. It will reduce the costs of border management. Then comes disaster management. This we can see the case of forest fires. For example, we can have sensors in forests that will detect smoke or rise in temperatures. So we can have sensors like that, and when the sensors go off in case of forest fires, it will contact different departments. For example, it can contact the forest department, it can contact the fire department, it can contact the law and order department. So this kind of use of Internet of Things in disaster management will help in improving the efficiency of administration or efficiency of governance. Next place where Internet of Things can be used is industry. Now that we are seeing there is high level of automation when it comes to manufacturing, Internet of Things can be used for quality control. For example, there is a food processing industry. We can see that food processing is also being automated. So we can have sensors in the food processing industry that will sense any reduction in the quality of the substance that is passing through the supply chain. So this will alert the management to make changes in the chain. So this way, Internet of Things can be used in industry as well, particularly in terms of quality control. So these are some of the applications of Internet of Things, and as we have seen in the previous lecture, we need certain things for this to take off. For example, 5G technology. So in mains examination, we need to mention all these things. 5G technology or Web 3.0, such technologies in conjunction with on any question on IoT. Thank you, students.